Adam Smith establishes his idea surrounding the division of labor in his famous book, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations. He does so in Book 1, Chapter 1, titled Of the Division of Labor. And he gives a classic example that is used extensively nowadays to point to sort of the prime example of how this looks in the real world of a pen factory. And he suggests that men can be much, much more efficient in the manufacturing of pens if they divide the process up into multiple different steps, each of them becoming specialized and educated into their particular individual step, that together by doing that they will be much more efficient and much more productive through the specialization, which he calls division of labor. So this is a quote from this section. He says, speaking of a pen factory where he has seen division of labor, quote, "I have seen a small manufactory of this kind where 10 men only were employed, and where some of them consequently performed 2 or 3 distinct operations. But though they were very poor, and therefore but indifferently accommodated with the necessary machinery, they could, when they exerted themselves, make among them about 12 pounds of pens in a day. There are in a pound upwards of 4,000 pens of a middling size. Those 10 persons, therefore, could make among them upwards of 48,000 pens in a day. Each person, therefore, making a tenth part of 48,000 pens might be considered as making 4,800 pens in a day. But if they had all wrought separately and independently, and without any of them having been educated to his particular business, they certainly could not each of them have made 20, perhaps not 1 pen in a day. That is certainly not the 240th, perhaps not the 4,800th part of what they are at present capable of performing, in consequence of a proper division and combination of their different operations." End quote. So he's saying the men are exponentially, in fact, almost infinitely more productive if they specialize themselves and divide this process up into smaller parts, and they themselves become educated and incredibly efficient at doing the one task over and over and over again. This is the classic example that Adam Smith uses to establish his ideas surrounding division of labor.